Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever and whenever you are listening. This is We Are The One, Lincolnshire FA's official grassroots football podcast where we speak to the amazing people who make football happen in our communities. This week we're speaking to Ged Newman and Phil Kime from the GMA, who are our regional pitch advisors. They support our amazing ground teams in making their grass pitches as best as they possibly can be. Enjoy. So I am here with Ged Newman and Phil Kime. Guys, do you want just want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Phil Kime. I'm the regional pitch advisor for the Grounds Management Association. I work the Central East region, which goes from Lincolnshire down to Essex, and the county's roughly M1 eastwards.
Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Ged Newman. I work at Lincoln City Football Club, but I also work as a support pitch advisor for the Lincolnshire FA. Doing the central region.
Fantastic. So can you just sort of share with us about how you got started in your roles as regional pitch advisors, and Ged, how do you sort of balance that with with being a groundsman at Lincoln City?
On the weekends there's my time to do the pitch inspections. Obviously when it's in the winter it's dark, but in the weekdays and the summer, spring, you can do it afterwards. It's not too bad.
Fantastic. And what about you, Phil? How did you get into the role as regional pitch advisor?
I started when I was head groundsman at Lincolnshire Football Club, the Lincoln City Football Club, and I was approached by Grounds Management Association to undertake support pitch advisor role. And basically, I predominantly started in Lincolnshire, and I have covered Lincolnshire for the 10 years that the pitch improvement plan and GANTIP, as it's been known, and now pitch power as it is finally evolved into. So I've been doing that over those 10 years, but now fortunately I've moved across the Grounds Management Association as a regional pitch advisor.
Fantastic. And you've obviously mentioned that over the course of 10 years it's changed quite a lot. Has that changed for the better? Have you seen that things have come a long way in that 10 years?
Oh, most definitely. In the early days of what we now call pitch power, it involved going out, doing a pitch visit, and going home and typing 32-page report manually. And there's no way we could feasibly service the amount of grassroots football pitches that we currently undertake. Because now all through pitch power it's done through like a mobile app, which clubs can conduct themselves, and it's operated at much higher volume than we could ever handle back in the early days.
Fantastic. And obviously both of you have obviously Ged, you're currently at Lincoln City, and Phil, you've previously been at Lincoln City. How do you think that sort of experience sort of helps you support grassroots football effectively?
I'd say you're doing it Monday to Friday, even the weekend, so you're always constantly on the grass learning. So when coming to do this job, I feel like I haven't been in the industry too long, but I've got a lot of knowledge I can pass on, which is, I think, it's very helpful to them.
Fantastic. And they can sort of see what, from a professional, EFL standard sort of level of club, what they do in terms of pitch
obviously
maintenance.
I can't say our standards can go down to grassroots because of money, and they're all volunteers, so they do struggle, but there's lots of little helpful tips you can give them to make sure, through the winter months when the grass ain't growing, which is very helpful. Yeah.
Fantastic. What about you, Phil? What do you think?
I think it's basically the educational aspect that we could take from the professional game and hand down to grassroots clubs. I mean, even though the costs involved are significantly higher in the professional football game, basically the maintenance techniques stay pretty roughly the same, and it's a matter of being able to get grassroots clubs to transcribe to the way that a professional football club maintains their pitches, because there is an awful lot of similarity. Also, as part of pitch improvement, there's groundsman workshops where groundsmen can actually come in. They can watch the likes of Ged at work. They can share Ged's knowledge of machinery and stuff like that, because we do machinery workshops. We do like webinars. So it's all just a general thing of trying to share the knowledge that we have and just to make grassroots grounds people better equipped to manage their pitches.
Fantastic. And you've touched on the fact that obviously you're working primarily with volunteers and people who are giving up their spare time and energy and resource to make these facilities and grass pitches as best as they possibly can be to support their local community effectively. How important are those people in those voluntary roles, in your opinion?
Oh, they're crucial. I mean, without the grassroots groundsmen, volunteer groundsmen, then football games will not go ahead. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah, fantastic. In terms of your typical day as a regional pitch advisor, what would that, or your typical sort of activities, I guess, as a regional pitch advisor, what was that? What does that look like for you?
Currently, my day-to-day duties are predominantly processing the pitch reports. I get so many submissions in from the grassroots clubs. Bear in mind, I'm serving 9 counties. I will get 9 counties worth of Football Foundation granted clubs. It's now a compulsory grant window, so they all need to do submissions, and on the back of their submissions, then I have to basically produce the report. There's a lot of correspondence as well, emails, and we're also currently in the process of planning more webinars for early next year and another maintenance workshop.
Fantastic. And Ged, does that, is it slightly different for you, I guess, in that aspect in terms of your day-to-day? Or
Yeah, so I just conduct the pitch inspection. So I go around with the committee, showing them how to do the pitch power reports.
Mm-hmm.
And then Phil obviously writes up the report. So he's obviously the main guy in it. But
so for those who don't know, what is a pitch power report? For those who maybe have never been through the process or are brand new to it.
So you go across all the pitches on your site, and you do soil samples. You do take pictures, and then it will get put into data, and you get a report back, and you can compare that to the season before. You can show if someone's asking you, oh, why is it looking bad? Well, you can say it's looking better than last year, or you get funding, you can get grants from it, so it's brilliant to do.
And that the level of grant that you get is basically from that pitch power report determines how the certain quality of your pitch at that time, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you also get Phil right up where needs help on the pitch. If you need it aerated or where the funding needs to go. It's not just, it's all different to each site basically. So
yeah, fantastic. And is that sort of any club who owns their site can do that, or is there certain things in place that only a limited amount of clubs can do?
No, it's open to any team in everywhere. I do Lincolnshire, but any team can do it. You just have to get in contact with the pitch power. And you can do it yourself. So that's why I show the committee. I want to help them do it themselves and stop me from going. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, how have sort of pitch maintenance techniques evolved in the time that you've been involved in it? And what advancements do you think are make you most excited about that sort of coming in?
Well, I haven't been in it too long, but I think just getting the data and that it's written down, it's in paper, not just you're saying it's looking better, but got it in data and reports, and I think mainly that's the biggest thing for me. But
Phil, how's things sort of in terms of pitch maintenance techniques evolved in your time?
I agree with Ged, actually. I think the emphasis is a lot more now on sort of data gathering and managing the maintenance of your pitch according to the data that you gathered. Whereas previously you were pretty much just relying on soil samples and stuff. Now, and now there's a lot more into it. You're seeing trends, so you can work to those trends.
And what data would that look like? Would it look like in terms of the moisture in the soil or things like that, or is it even finer than that?
No, I think that's that pretty much in a nutshell. I mean, Jed's probably the man that'll probably tell you a bit more about that with the pods that are permanently in the pitch at Central Bank. They will give constant updates on the data there, like daytime temperatures, nighttime temperatures, soil temperatures, soil moisture and stuff like that. So you've got a lot of data there to actually work with, when to irrigate your pitch, when not to irrigate your pitch so much. it is a lot more managed. And I think also the amount of robotics that's coming into the game now is certainly at a grassroots level that might help people, especially time-wise. It's going to make managing their time much more effective if they can, for example, rely on a robotic mower to cut the pitch, and it'll leave them extra time to go and carry out more fundamental pitch maintenance processes while that's going on.
Do you think there's more sort of resource being put into, certainly at a grassroots level, to try and get pitches? Obviously, it'd be very difficult to get them to the sort of standard of an EFL football club, but to get them to be a lot more sort of professional and a lot more, I guess, accessible and to a higher standard than they maybe traditionally have been.
There's no two ways about it. I mean, with the grant funding that the Football Foundation supply through the Pitch Power app, and also the fact that they can get grant funding towards machinery as well, clubs can be a lot more self-governing on the work that they do. They can therefore dedicate most of the funds they get directly towards the pitch rather than having it offlay against like contractor costs and stuff like that. With machinery, they can therefore do it themselves. And again, just to go back to the maintenance process is pretty much the same. It's just enabling the clubs and educating the clubs so they're confident to be able to carry those processes out to a similar standard.
Yeah. Ged, I'm interested to, and I think there'll be a lot of people listening to this will be interested to know what what it looks like at Lincoln City in terms of maintaining the pitch and that sort of, like we've touched on, that level of data and insight that you're provided to help you do your job effectively. What does that look like?
Yeah, obviously we got Central Bank, and then we got the Elite Performance Centre. So we got 3 pitches there, and then 1 pitch at obviously the stadium pitch.
Yeah.
There's 5 of us who do it. There's more to the job than it's not just cutting grass. We've got to make a whole week's worth of it,
So obviously looking at, we've obviously touched on like the use of data and how that's obviously changed over time. But what sort of data are you getting to, I guess, to support your role and support that day-to-day operation?
So on like match days, we have SGL pods which go on the ground, and you want the moisture levels to be right for kickoff. Mm-hmm. So it all depends on weather. So say if it's windy, it will dry it out more. Or the SGL pods will tell you what the soil moisture is.
Yeah. And is there sort of like an industry standard as to the right level that you want that at, or is that dependent on what each club for each club? Because some will maybe want it drier, some maybe won't.
We want it about 22%, mm-hmm. maybe higher. It depends how quickly it dries out. So say if it's a really sunny day, you maybe do it more because you can't do it throughout the game.
Yeah.
So you got the half-time point where you can put water on, or in the winter you do less because it's going to take longer to dry out. Or and it just keeps. You don't want the pitch to in the winter when you got frost coming. You'll have start of the week. You'll have pods in, just tell you the soil temperature. You think it's going to drop below the 0 degrees. Mm. You're going to put them on early. Make sure for the Saturday game it's not going to get called off. You can't leave anything too late. Everything's got to be done at the right time. Mm. It's very precise.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricacies.
Yeah.
And you've obviously touched on there's a little bit of potential misconception that people think it is just a case of mowing grass and laying some lines. What are the sort of things that you might do on a day-to-day business that people maybe don't see or won't actually know about in terms of making sure that things are to the highest possible standard that they can be?
Well, you got the whole of winter. There's no growth, and that's to keep a pitch with a full coverage is one of the hardest things to do. So there's a lot of divoting. At half time, people think you just stood there with a fork, but you're actually, it's the most important job throughout the winter. Mm. There's a lot of aerating to make sure, it drains. You've got rig lights to keep area, we haven't got many, but we can keep goal mouths. They basically just keep light throughout the night time and temperatures. Yeah.
Fantastic.
There's a lot going on.
Super. In terms of what you both sort of feel is the most common challenge, I guess, in terms of grassroots club in Lincolnshire that they face with their pitches, what do you think that is, and sort of how does your role fit in to help them overcome that?
Well, it's got to be weather conditions. I think clubs, referees want the games to go ahead. If they can't be played in the wrong conditions because you've got consequences. That could be recovering. That pitch could be having to recover for. It could take 2 to 3 months to sort itself out. And it's got. We all want the game to be played, but it's not always possible. You could cause serious damage to the pitch. Yeah, definitely weather.
Fantastic. What about you, Phil? What do you think?
Yeah, I think aside from the weather, which Jed's right, it's really crucial that grassroots clubs, especially, sort of manage the usage through the winter period. As Jed said, grass doesn't really have the ability to recover that much through winter periods. So the only thing it can really do is damage limitation. So if you can keep excessive wear on the pitch off it, if you can keep it out of the high wear areas like goal mouths and centre circles, have a discipline to sort of like warm up off the pitches, that will certainly help you take grass coverage right the way through the winter.
Yeah.
And it will certainly lessen the chances of games being called off. And again, when your pitches are waterlogged, sometimes it's better just to stay off it. With the best will in the world, we're all groundsmen. We all want to get on. We want to make the pitches much better. But if you're going onto a waterlogged pitch with their machinery, then the chances are you're likely to cause more damage than you're actually creating good. So it's having a discipline there to know when's right to go on, and sometimes it's better just not. There's also the financial implications. The more and more people's expectations rise of good quality standard football pitches, then the more maintenance to create these pitches is necessary to keep them to a good standard. And I think, again, that's why the grant funding comes in from the Football Foundation.
Yeah. So knee slides after scoring the winning goal is not advised then, certainly in the winter months.
I'll put Jed off to that one, 'cause I'm sure he's seen it on match days.
Last game of the season it's okay, but I'm not a fan of it.
Even big trail lines in the ground.
Yeah, if we win the league, I don't mind. But
in terms of, you've obviously mentioned weather and sort of trying to tackle the impact of, I guess, extreme weather conditions to the point where pitches are waterlogged, and every season clubs up and down, not just the county but up and down the country, will obviously find the issue of pitches being waterlogged. But how do you think? How do you tackle the impact of extreme weather conditions on pitch quality, especially for those sort of clubs with maybe limited resource?
Well, if they can get a grant or fund to get their pitch aerated a few times a year, especially through the winter months, before do it in the autumn, before it gets too wet, you can't do it. You don't want to go on it when you're going to damage it with a massive tractor and a big heavy machinery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
Yeah. And how important do you think those, those funding opportunities and those grants are? Because obviously there's quite a lot through the Football Foundation, and obviously there's the pitch maintenance fund, but then there's also those smaller grants in terms of for that machinery and for all those different sort of revenue streams, I guess, to try and improve the level of facility for grassroots clubs.
Clubs haven't got the money to do this all year round, and there's no other way you're gonna get more games postponed if you don't get this done. Like, you've got to use what you can, and if it's there, you might as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. To basically to make the game happen and make sure that the weather isn't the be all and end all.
Yeah, you're going to have less games cancelled, and if you keep doing that throughout the years, you're going to get better and better, and the pitch is going to improve.
It makes the football more sustainable, effectively, for those clubs.
Definitely.
Super. What about you, Phil? What are your thoughts on terms of sort of tackling the impact of extreme weather conditions?
Yeah, as far as grassroots clubs go, I mean, I don't think it has quite the same impact as it probably do on a football league club, where the financial implications involved with a match postponement are far greater than what there will be with the grassroots club. The grassroots club, it might be just the inconvenience of a 1 or 2 postponed games, but again, it goes down to time management. And if you try and push your pitch a little bit too hard and you play on it with inclement conditions, the chance you might have just one postponement may turn into 5 or 6 because you render the pitch unplayable for the foreseeable future. So it's all about planning rather than anything.
Super. And obviously, at the minute, the FA have sort of opened up a new scheme with Eon for the greener game, which is obviously trying to support clubs to become a little bit more sustainable in terms of reducing their energy bills and being a little bit more eco-friendly, I guess, in that sense. So, in your opinion, how important is sustainability in sort of groundskeeping, and what practices do you maybe trying to encourage clubs to adopt to make their overall sort of grounds maintenance and their pitch maintenance a little bit more eco-friendly?
Well, I think it's quite important that historically to treat diseases, treat pests and stuff like that, it's tended to be down a chemical approach. Was what we try to encourage, certainly the Grounds Management Association, when we make recommendations, is that these certainly sort of like pest control and weed control is sort of like done as a last resort, especially sort of like weed control. If you can do cultural practices like regular mowing, if you can do like regular scarification, regular surface grooming, in a way that just sort of like encourages more grass growth, the denser grass growth, and that in turn will discourage like weed population. So in effect, you should be cutting down on like herbicides, and in a way that works out cheaper for grassroots clubs. Yeah. And also it's kinder to the environment.
Yeah, super. In terms of the importance of well-maintenance pitches and how that influences the quality of the football being played, certainly at grassroots level, how does that make a difference? Do you think that has probably a bigger impact than maybe people give credit for?
Yeah, so if the pitches are bobbly, players are going to be thinking about their footing. They're not going to be playing to the full. They can definitely play better on a flat surface, and you never have to worry about what you're playing on. That's always in the back of their head. If you're playing on a not as good pitch, you're going to be wary of your surroundings for sure. Yeah,
it's definitely that first impression as well, isn't it, Phil? In terms of when you arrive at a pitch, certainly in a grassroots on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you see the pitch and you think, oh wow, that it looks like a carpet, for example, or on the opposite end of the scale, oh my God, this could be, we're playing on the side of a hill, basically. So, how important is that quality of pitch?
Well, I think a well presented pitch goes a long way towards first impressions, definitely. If it's nicely striped up and everything, everyone immediately thinks it's a good pitch. But definitely a good pitch is important because one, it enhances player enjoyment, and I think the key aspect is a good surface is generally safe, and that's a key aspect for any player. They need to know that the surface that they're playing on is safe.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think we've probably all had that experience of turning up on a weekend and seeing a less than desirable pitch. I think is probably the right way to put it. So do you think we're now getting to a point where that's less and less common, and actually most people are turning up on a weekend and sort of seeing, oh wow, this pitch is good quality?
I'd like to think so. I mean, I can offer a few examples of certainly like Lincolnshire-based clubs. There's like Long Bennington, the starters. They were probably one of the first clubs that really became embraced within the Football Foundation, the grant funding. And funnily enough, it was one of the pitches where I pretty much last played on when I was at sort of youth, sort of like football, Sunday League football. And when I played, it was absolutely nightmare to play on it. It was like rock solid all the way through the football season. It was terrible. But you look at what Long Bennington have done. It now looks an absolutely fantastic facility, and as one of the guiding lights for Lincolnshire. There's like Navenby Junior Football Club, absolutely fantastic. Their pitches have recently turned in high grading across all pitches, which is absolutely fantastic. And when you go back to a site like that, from the early days when people are just generally kicking around, the pitch is not great condition, but then when you go back and see the pitch is a really good standard, and the club has grown exponentially, and it's an actually really, really vibrant site. That is fantastic to see, and I think that's what it's all about, really.
Fantastic. And Ged, you've obviously supported a lot of clubs with their pitch power reports and doing those inspections. Have you seen sort of any examples of a club that's effectively been on that journey of actually they've probably had quite a poor sort of rating on their pitch power to now they're at a point where they're actually excellent?
Yeah, I haven't been doing it for too long. Started in obviously July.
Oh, super.
But
yeah,
there's a few teams I played at last season, like Saxby. Their pitch, I know they have go through the pitch power reports, and they go through funding. So that's definitely
they're on that journey.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the best pitches I played on last season.
Fantastic.
And the worst thing is waking up on a Sunday, getting ready for the game, and having to be called off. That
because it's waterlogged.
It's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I've been there myself, unfortunately. In terms of what's been the most rewarding experience in your role so far, is what is that? Whether that be it's helping a grassroots club, or sort of seeing the impact in terms of your professional roles. What would you say is that most rewarding experience so far?
I think just Phil gave me the message to do this, and you recognised my work to come help Lincolnshire FA with these reports, and I felt amazing to be recognised for that. And recently I've been shortlisted for Young Groundsperson of the Year, that is amazing. I'm really happy about. So, and just on the Saturdays where you have thousands of people coming to see the players, but obviously you want to see them on a good pitch, which takes a lot of pride in my work. Which is
fantastic. And why do you think? Sorry, while we've got you, Ged, and while you've mentioned the fact that you've been shortlisted, obviously we need to say congratulations for that.
Yes.
Why do you think you've been shortlisted for that?
I think I just take a lot of pride in my work, and I like to do more than I should. Like I do take out on my own time to learn and help other people with their work. So I also do work at Manchester City as a matchday groundsperson, which I don't have to do, but I like it for the experience. Yeah. And if I want to move on in the future, it's great experience for me.
And Phil, what about you in terms of your most rewarding experience in your role so far?
I think when I joined the Grounds Management Association and the chance to sort of like do it full time, focus more of my efforts onto the grassroots side of things. Previously, I was always been like juggling a day job. I've been doing sport pitch advising for Links FA, and plus I'd also been writing the reports alongside that for the Grounds Management Association. So it's like doing 3 jobs at once, but now I can just concentrate on that full time. And it's good to get out, and it's good to see the clubs that really embrace use of pitch power, and embrace the grant funding available to them, and put the hard work in themselves and the footwork in themselves. Try and find things out themselves, and you find they're the clubs that reap the best benefits when it comes to sort of like seeing the good quality pitches. And I also sort of like enjoy delivering workshops to grassroots grounds folk. You get a lot of good feedback from that 9 times out of 10, which is quite nice to see. And it's good if people sort of like take something away from what we're trying to sort of like get across to them. And again, I think the people that benefit the most are the ones that go away and they will read further themselves, and they will start to translate what they've learned into what they do on their own pitches.
Yeah, take the theory and put it into practice.
Exactly that.
Super. In terms of the advice or any sort of top tips, I guess, that you would give to those grassroots club volunteers who may not necessarily have a whole host of experience in terms of grounds maintenance, but want to see improvement in their pitches, what sort of advice would you give them?
Network. Just network as much as you can. There is a further platform out there called Hive Learning, and that's something else that's generated by Football Foundation. And it's basically a network of grounds folk on there. It's like a big forum, so they can interact with each other. They can interact with us as regional pitch advisors. There are a lot of top tips on there. So if anybody's got any sort of problem that you want to look into, they can look into this Hive Learning, look at that topic, and there will be numerous cards on the best way to go about rectifying a situation, finding solutions to the problems. So, yeah, it's brilliant to see that. But I think networking, I think that's the same with anyone really, even at pro level. When I was at Lincoln City and that, I found the best way of obtaining information is network with other people. 9 times out of 10, that information is freely given.
And do you think the sort of the grounds maintenance or groundskeeping community is probably, and we hear a lot from sort of volunteers who since COVID have lost that sense of community and that sense of networking, I guess, from other people who also do their roles across grassroots football. Do you think that's do you think that that level of community is so important for those who are in that role?
I think a level of community for grassroots groundspeople is absolutely essential, to be fair. There's a lot to be learnt off other people. There's a lot to be learnt off other people's experiences. There's a lot to be learnt off the way other people handle their own problems. So definitely it's a great way to go about things. And I think sometimes grassroots groundsmen can be somewhat overlooked, and the job sort of like definitely overlooked, especially given how critical and pivotal they are to actual grassroots clubs' existence.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's almost, unfortunately, it's a little bit of potentially out of sight, out of mind. They see the pitch, they don't see the person who's maintained that pitch.
Exactly that. But it's nice sometimes to highlight the importance of the groundsman. And I think it's quite important if the groundsman's actually part of like the committee and that making decisions. That'd be a great thing for any club to do, to actually involve the groundsperson in the day-to-day running of their club.
Fantastic. Ged, what about yourself in terms of those top tips for those who maybe don't necessarily have have the experience that you guys do, but sort of want to reach the highest possible standard they can for their work?
I would just say timing of practices, because if you could damage a pitch just because you wanted to get the pitch cut, but it wasn't in the right condition, it wasn't worth it. But I do understand there are volunteers and it's hard to get over a certain area all the time, and you've got to work around your full-time job. It's not easy.
Do you think that level of maybe sort of that patience, maybe, I guess, a little bit, and sort of trusting the process in terms of getting those timings right and not being too eager to, I need to sort of cut the grass, for example, ahead of this weekend, but I know that actually it's been chucking it down all week, for example. It's just having that sort of that level of patience.
Yeah, there's a lot of patience in this industry for sure. But yeah.
Fantastic. And to finish up on, guys, what are your sort of aspirations in terms of where you want to be in the future, and where you hope this industry, I guess, and sort of the volunteers within it, where you hope to see things go over the next few years?
For me personally, I'd just like to carry on what I'm doing. Hopefully be a head groundsman one day, even if that's at Lincoln or is it somewhere else abroad. Obviously, I'm not really sure, to be honest. But I know this data is getting better, and if you go through the pitch power reports, you're going to improve your pitches, and all the funding, all the pitches around Lincolnshire are going to be better over the years.
Fantastic. A county full of top quality grass pitches is where we hope to be then.
Yeah, sure.
Fantastic. Phil, what about yourself?
I think the Football Foundation have already had probably the best year to date with funding towards football pitches and the amount of good grass football pitches that we've got. And I think the ultimate aim for everybody really should be to continue that upward trend, and not just getting pitches to like a good standard. It's actually maintaining them at a good standard, and just to see a lot more clubs coming through as well. I think hopefully snowball doesn't slow down, to be honest, because there is a shortage of grass football pitches in not only Lincolnshire but like England as a whole. So we've always got to strive to increase what we have.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Ged and Phil, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us and sort of sharing your experience really and everything that you do in terms of your pitch advisor role. So thank you very much. Keep on doing what you're doing. Hopefully, as we touched on at the end there, hopefully we've got a county full of top quality grass pitches in the years to come.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.